Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast in the biggest way possible. Hanging out the bad seat, the broken, the bad apple with a bad attitude. Hanging out with your boy Carver High. We are live in Sin City, Temecula, beautiful downtown Las Vegas, baby. For you know what, it's Saturday night, the 14th, tomorrow night, the Mexican Independence Day weekend, a stacked PBC pay-per-view event, premier boxing champions, the pound-per-hound greatest Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez puts his United WBC, WBA, WBO super middleweight world titles on the line against undefeated WBA number one ranked mandatory contender Edgar the Chosen One Berlanga. From No Sleep Till Brooklyn, the Puerto Rican ready to dance with Saul Canelo. The stacked fight card features Cuban star and reigning WBA middleweight world champ Eris Landi, the American Dream Lara. I always thought he was Cuban. I didn't know he was the American Dream. Taking on the hard-hitting two-division world champion Puerto Rican star Danny Swift Garcia. Philadelphia's finest in a 12-round showdown between two of the era's most accomplished fighters. Plus, former super middle world champion Caleb Sweethands Plant will take on the undefeated contender Trevor McCumbee for the interim WBA super middleweight title, while the former 140-pound world champion Rolando Rolly Romero steps into the ring for Carver High against the hard-hitting Manuel Jaimes in a 10-round bout, opening the pay-per-view at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. The lineup features 6 current and former world champions. You can order the pay-per-view event on Prime Video regardless of Prime membership. Fans can also purchase the pay-per-view on DAZN.com with our boy Mannix over there. And ppv.com. If I mispronounce it or say the wrong name, Jim Lampley electrocutes me from behind. And also available on traditional cable and satellite outlets. It's all happening. And here he is, the original OG, the gangster of golf, the Tater King, and the Tutty Master, the sheet of integrity's finest, Carver High on a pain-free Friday from New York, along with Mafia and Vinny Bruschetta in for Luke. I am your father. Today, the rundown, Bruce Binkow, the head of the PBC, with the state of Bruce. Every time we're in Vegas, it's time for the state of Bruce. It's like a State of the Union address. Plus, Morency, a double shot from Vancouver, and Gino Bacola from Daily Racing Form, and even Dr. Zhivago, Dr. David Chow from Sports Injury Central with the bad Wi-Fi in San Diego. I'm just kidding, Carver, but sometimes his Wi-Fi slips up a little. Drives me nuts. I love Dr. Zhivago, as you know. I can never understand how he works in this high-powered hospital and high-powered Sports Injury Central. He's got 75 people working at computers, high-speed, up-to-date injury information. But when he goes on with Ferrall, he burps like a drunk at an outdoor kegger.
Yeah, that does make you wonder, right? What's going on? What happens whenever he gets involved in the scene there? Yes, happy pain-free Friday to you here as we get ourselves ready. It's not just a huge fight weekend, but we have Pain Day, NFL Week number 2.
Pain Day.
We've got tons of college football games. We've only got a couple weeks left in Major League Baseball. We have a lot of stuff to cover today outside of just the fight, which, of course, you're at. And I guess everybody go to the weigh-in right now because it looks a lot different than yesterday. Everybody ran. Where are they having the weigh-in? At the T-Mobile? Are they weighing in at the T-Mobile, Scott?
Yes.
Or at the Grand Garden?
So
where are they weighing
this
in?
This morning I looked out the window. I was going to go for a swim, and I did. And I looked out the window, and there was a line a mile long for people going to the weigh-in because it was over at the T-Mobile, and they're all there now. When I walked in here this morning to do the show, there was nobody here, and I thought, wow, are they all at the Bunny Ranch? I didn't know where everybody had gone. I thought maybe to the brothel, but no, they're at the weigh-in. As you know, Carver High, due to your vast experience with me traveling here, I do not go to weigh-ins. I do not prefer to see men with no pants on in their underwear and their onions standing on scales. It is of no significance to me what they weigh. In fact, I like going to the fight. By the way, here's the power move I played. So, and Bruce will be here momentarily. He'll document this. He said to me, Ferrall, I've got you in row 5. And then his assistant went, are we upgrading him? And I said, that's my favorite word. And then she said, now you're in row 1. And I said, upgrade.
Wow.
I said, I used to sit in first class when I flew to these fights. He said, your girl died. That was the end of the first class. And then COVID hit. And now you're sitting in coach. If you don't like it, have a sandwich. I couldn't believe he said have a sandwich. That's my line.
You are, I mean, to be fair, and I know the planes is the whole nother thing, but like sitting in the first row, that's pretty good. He's taking care of you in first row. That's, I mean, you're gonna see you on the broadcast. You're gonna be sitting out there in the first. That's pretty good, and you can't get upset about that.
Back in the day, I used to sit in the, and I don't mean to be mean right now. I'm just joking, but I'm gonna say this. Back in the day, I used to sit in the front row, and remember when there was like, I'm not even kidding. Back in the days of HIV and AIDS, I was like, I'd go to the fights, and I'd be in the front row, worried that I was gonna get splattered in the eye with blood, and that I was gonna die. Literally, I was at Caesar's Palace outdoors for the Fan Man fight and sitting with Frank DeFord in a pimp fur coat. And I thought to myself, Frank, what would happen if you got splattered with blood right now and ruined this expensive fur coat? You look like Joe Namath. And he said, Joe Willie has nothing on me, Ferrall. Your boy, Frank DeFord.
Frank DeFord, one of the all-time greats. Frank DeFord, no question about that.
By the way, Carver High, we're getting rave reviews for yesterday's show. Rave reviews. And,
good.
And there are some people, believe it or not, I couldn't believe it, that thought the funniest interview was with 194-year-old Jerry Eisenberg. There has been quite a reaction to the jokes I talked about my mother-in-law wanting to sleep with Jerry in front of his wife, who did not find me funny whatsoever.
Oh, she didn't find you. She wasn't. She wasn't a fan of your humor yesterday, huh? She wasn't a fan of any of that. We will throughout the course of today. Obviously, you've got a lot going on there with the fight. We will get through all the games for this week in both NFL and college. I've got plenty of coaches for you later if we have time for them, Mike Tomlin, etc. And we'll have to talk about last night because smash job in South Beach by the Buffalo Bills last night. 31-10, smash job, squish the fish down there. So nice job by the Bills. Really, Scotty, the Bills' defense and James Cook, the stories last night, the Bills' defense was excellent. In fact, that new look defense, Scotty, through 2 games, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Marvin Harrison Jr. combined, all 3 of them under 100 yards. Combined, all 3 of those guys through 2 games. That's pretty good.
The more that the Bills went up in the score, the more money I made, and then the more I bought Mafia and Brady Cannon drinks. And dinner. The more money I made as the score kept going up. By halftime, I was 2 sheets to the wind, and I was buying everyone drinks because I was very excited about the outcome. It was free drink night at the OK Corral.
Good. That's good. Hey, look, I'm glad you were able to do that. It was an absolute fun game to watch for me. Now the second half was misery. There was nothing going on, but that was fine with the Bills won, so I could deal with it. But if you had an over ticket, that was unfortunate because there was 41 points with like 10 minutes to go in the third quarter, and it didn't hit. Right. There wasn't another point scored in the game. And of course, Scotty, don't forget the Tua story as well. As he drove himself into Hamlin there on that play, concussion, he's going to be gone for a while.
I think he's going to be gone forever. So I think his career.
Some have said that.
I think his career's over. But look, on the bright side, he got $35 million guaranteed. He got $100 million the first 2 years guaranteed. He's set for life. He can do anything he wants the rest of his life. He'll never need for anything in his life. We're in Las Vegas.
Anyone that's been to a sporting anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
A pleasure to see my dear friend Bruce Binkow and the state of Bruce. It's, as I said earlier, like the State of the Union address. Every time we come to a fight, it's important that we hook up with Bruce. Bruce is the reason that we're here. Bruce is a longtime dear friend of mine who has been around boxing for my entire career and brought me to every fight that I've been to over the last 35 years. Some of our other friends have passed since then, unfortunately, but Bruce and I maintain a relationship, and it's very important that we have him on because he knows everything that's going on around Vegas and around boxing more than anyone else. And he eats at excellent restaurants and has excellent friends. You know, I saw yesterday, good to see you, Bruce.
Hi, Scotty.
I saw the most powerful woman in television, your girl, Dale Hopkins.
I thought you were going to say Kelly Swanson.
Well, I know Kelly's the biggest PR woman in sports. I can't afford her. She's like $10,000 a month. Like I was going to hire her once, $10,000 a month. I said, that's how much 34C spends on clothing. I can't have two women in my life taking money from me like that. But Dale Hopkins, and I hadn't seen her since pre-COVID.
She's the real deal.
I went out to dinner with her one night at Kraft. She took like 14 people to dinner. It was like $40,000.
It's that Comcast money.
You know, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Dana, everyone and their brother was there.
Oh, really?
At that night with
the dinner? I didn't make the cut.
He was very upset that I was at the table, Dana.
Oh, he was?
Well, we've had our fair share of arguments over the years. As you know, he's a bully, and I'm better at being mean.
Tell us about
bullies. Well, why does he hate me?
Yeah, why?
Well, you know why. I mean, what do I have to fill you in on this? I just
like hearing you tell the story.
I want boxing to kick their ass. It's that simple. Everyone knows it. I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a MMA guy. I've done a lot of work with him, and you know, I like money more than I like him.
Well, you're in luck because you got a chance to watch boxing shine on Saturday night,
right?
And I understand that they're planning an event as well.
They're doing a little event in an egg somewhere in town.
That's what I heard.
And then we're doing it on Prime Video pay-per-view. It's on DAZN.com. It's on PPV.com. It's on cable and satellite companies. But order the fight, Canelo and Berlanga. I got to tell you, Bruce, I got a kick out of Berlanga yesterday.
Yeah.
I had fun. I had fun talking to him. Obviously, I really love Canelo because I've seen his entire career. I've seen him fight multiple times. I saw him lose to Floyd when he was too young and dumb to understand how to win a big fight.
I think we sat together.
Yeah, and if they would, let's say that was today, and those were two guys in similar ages in the same pants today,
it would be a much different.
Canelo would kill him.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know it would be a more competitive fight, and I think that the
but he'd hurt him.
Floyd was very good at not getting hurt.
He dodged and ducked all the punches. He knew what was coming.
Yeah. But you're right. It was a little early for Canelo. It was one of the great events here at the MGM Grand Garden. Though we remember how
it was huge.
Remember the weigh-in was crazy.
Everything was huge.
But Berlanger, I agree with you. He's quite a character. He's don't forget this guy has got such heavy hands. I think it was his first 15 fights.
16
ended in a first round knockout. 16 in a row in a first round knockout.
Is that how he got this mandatory? Because you knock out 16 guys in a row in the first round, that gets the attention of the matchmakers.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely earned it. I think that people are underestimating him. I think that they think that it's going to be a walkover, which, Canelo will be the first one to tell you it won't be. The kid is a big hitter. He's a big guy. He's much.
I'm bigger than him.
He's much taller than Canelo.
I stood with him. I'm bigger.
Okay, well,
I mean, Monty and I.
You weigh 166 pounds.
I weigh. I'm 240 and a 6'4", and I'm a grown man.
Okay, well, all I know is it's going to be a really interesting fight because
wouldn't it be something?
From what Berlanga told me, and I think he's been telling it to anybody that'll listen, is that he's going to come out and go for the knockout, and that's going to make for an exciting fight.
So, Saul has become larger than life in not only Mexico and not only the U.S., but in boxing, essentially the pound-for-pound king of boxing. I mean, the money he's made and the life. He told me, he said, he handles all of it. He has a million things going on, kids screaming at him, daddy, daddy, wife, smoke show, golf, boxing, business, endorsements, sponsors, commitments, training.
Sounds like Apollo Creed. You know what happened?
He's Apollo Creed. It is literally Apollo Creed. Are you surprised that he's gone from where he went to where he is now?
Well, yeah, it's funny. I remember when we were at Golden Boy, we brought him up from Mexico. He was already a phenom in Mexico as a young kid, teenager. And he came up, and his first fight was at Staples Center in L.A. He was on the undercard of, I think it was a Bernard Hopkins fight. Right. And he fought Miguel Cotto's cousin and got buzzed in the third round. And I thought, and then he came back and whooped his ass. So I've seen his whole career. I think he's an amazing fighter. He's an amazing man. He's a really good guy.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing fighter. And he definitely is going to go down as one of the best. I think it's a great opportunity for fans out there to check him out. He's not going to be around forever. So,
Someone wrote me yesterday that Roy Jones was better than him. And I said, I don't know about that.
Look,
for my money, Canelo
it's hard
dangerous.
To compare. It's hard to compare guys in different eras. And Roy Jones was a hell of a fighter. Bernard Hopkins was a hell of a fighter. I mean,
he was more of a talker.
A lot of those guys in that weight.
Have you met anyone that talks more than? I mean, I'm painful, but there's no one that talks more than Bernard Hopkins.
No
one.
No, he's he needs to find a way to make a living by doing that.
Do you think that? Now listen, you have to run out the door.
No, I'm good.
You can do one more segment, right?
Yeah.
I just cannot have this state of Bruce where he comes in here.
Well, we haven't even talked about Danny Garcia.
We haven't talked about Swift
Lara
and his crazy dad and the Cuban Lara who suddenly knocks people out because he must have rings of cones of money, the little coin, rolls of coins inside his gloves because he's been knocking everyone out lately. He never knocked anyone out his whole career. Now he knocks everyone out he fights. Yesterday they kept talking about how old he is at the press conference. If I'm his publicist, I'm like, can we stop with the age stuff at this point already? It's the state of Bruce on Coast to Coast.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him rookie of the year, offensive player of the year. Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Eberflus coach of the year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be a success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? I mean, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So yesterday, your boy Rolly Romero tried to pick a fight with me here, and I was about to kill him because I'm twice his size.
Yeah.
But then I pulled my shirt up and said, "Stop! I have a heart condition. I have an artificial heart." And he's like, "What?" And then you said to Mafia, "Does he play any defense?" And I said, "I never hustle and play defense, but I foul the S out of people. I'll break your nose. I'll get rebounds. I'll set the biggest wide body screens in town." And
but you're not crossing the center line.
I never crossed it before the heart attack or after. Who wants to get back on defense? I'm too busy scoring, cherry picking,
waiting for the pass.
I'm fantastic. I'm a finisher. I don't have time to guard anyone. I always tell people when the game starts, because I play 5 days a week, and they pair us up with the guy you're guarding, and there's no one I can guard. And so they'll go, "All right, Ferrall." And I go, "I can't guard him. I can't guard him. I can't guard him.
I won't guard him.
And him, I'm not even going to try." I said, "Why don't I just stand by the basket and get rebounds?" And they're like, "Okay, Ferrall, don't worry about it."
There you go.
And then they're like, "Only shoot when you're at the 10. Because I got a nice finger roll. Mafia knows that. So,
did you get Caleb Plant? Did you get him?
Of course I got sweet hands. That's my guy from Nashville. I said to him on the show, I said, "Hey, what'd you think of Will Levis in the game against the Bears, up 17-0 and losing?" And that went over well with him.
Oh, sure.
And then the second one, I go, "How many Predators games have you been to?" He goes, "Tons." I go, "Did you enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals against the Penguins?" And then he looked over at Mafia. He's like, "I'm going to hit him." But I've always liked Plant. I was at the fight with you, the tank fight in row 3, and Bruce has done a great job. This time he put me in row 1 for the fight because I went 5-3. I'm going up to 1 this time. I'm always trying to improve the show, the network, and my relationship with Bruce in boxing. But I was at the fight in the third row when Ryan Garcia lost his mind and started talking about Caleb's wife, and Caleb was going to kill him. And it was better than anything ever because Mighty Mouse was there, Demetrius Johnson, and his smoke show girlfriend who kept looking at me because most of them do. And then remember the fight almost broke out?
Yeah.
There was like a fist fight breaking out in my row.
Every time Caleb gets around the public, he gets into a beef with somebody.
And then these enormous, filthy rich chicks, these black chicks with just massive amounts of diamonds on and makeup, and their hair was going everywhere. And they were drinking whiskey out of a glass. And because, the line for the drinks is like, it's not even worth it. It's like 5 miles long. So they came back like double fisted. And this chick didn't even know me. And she just kept giving me hits off of her whiskey. And then I thought she was going to ask me if I wanted to make love at one point. Because, after about 4 or 5 sips, these women start looking at me and I can't control them.
I didn't have anything to do with whoever was sitting next to you, just for the record. Just want Mrs. Binkow to know that.
How does the Cuban Lara keep knocking people out at his age? And how come the guy keeps telling everyone how old he is?
By the way,
he's a champ.
Let me tell you something about Erislandy Lara. You may not remember it, but
I remember him.
I would say that if you ask Canelo what the 3 toughest fights he ever had, Erislandy Lara would be
one of them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought were ready for that rematch right when it happened, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But he's tough. He's tough. He's Cuban. Cubans are have.
How does he calls himself the American Dream? Because he's
doesn't live in Cuba anymore.
Because he got over.
Yeah, right.
And so now he's living the American dream.
That's right.
Now, what about Swift? Can he beat him? And how funny is his crazy old man? Like, do you guys want to keep him out of here because he's so crazy?
Are you kidding? Angel is.
He's entertaining.
He's the main attraction. No, Angel is great. He's been, like I said, we've been around Danny his entire career. Danny's had been on a 2-year layoff, so I have no idea.
A hiatus.
I don't know what to expect.
That's what I said to him yesterday. I'm like, how can you fight after 2 years?
I know you remember the night that we opened up Barclays Center boxing with Danny Garcia versus Eric Morales.
I was there.
No, you remember that night? That was a hell of a
I brought my son.
Yeah, and he was little.
He was very little, and he had ice cream all over his face and popcorn. I was at that fight. It was a great fight.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see Danny back in the ring. I love the kid. I always love watching him fight. He always gives 1,000%.
He said he wasn't fighting because he was a Showtime fighter, and I was like, "What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?" He said, "What? Now he's in bed with PBC. So how did it work out that he didn't fight for 2 years?" Is he just?
I don't know what he told you, but he didn't fight for 2 years because he made too much money on his last fight.
Is that? Oh, so he just sat around getting fat.
Yeah.
Getting laid? Are we on the air?
I don't think Danny has ever gotten fat, but
no, he looks good.
Yeah, but he looks great.
Did you see him yesterday with his Louis Vuitton glasses on?
He's sharp.
Yeah, I mean, there were chicks chasing him down the district.
Yeah.
What about McCombie against Plant? I have. Oh, now I'm out of time. Do you have to leave?
I gotta go. It's weigh-in, my friend.
Are you leaving now?
I mean, I gotta go. All
right, Bruce.
I love you, but I gotta go.
The state of Bruce, ladies and gentlemen.
The pride of Guadalajara, the Mexican maestro, the unified super middleweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez. His challenger, undefeated knockout artist and pride of Puerto Rico, Edgar Berlanga. It's prime time.
Canelo versus Berlanga, plus Lara versus Garcia. Saturday live on PBC pay-per-view on Prime Video.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to that same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, everybody. Good to have you with us along all of our outlets. Of course, you can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 Eastern on all of our many distributors. Of course, streaming networks, TV stations, radio networks, Sports Byline USA, Sirius XM Channel 159. And you catch him on Coast to Coast every day. And then he does a fantastic football show on Sunday nights on SportsGrid. And just an all-around badass, my favorite person of all time. And he got me a BC Lions hoodie, and I have since been I've been chased by at least 10 women that wanted to have sex with me wearing that orange BC Lions jacket. I guess they're really popular all over the world, it turns out. Gabe, last night I won so much money on the Bills. I ended up getting Mafia and Brady Cannon drunk. I just kept buying people drinks because I kept making money every time they scored a touchdown. As you and I talked about, they were easy money last night, baby. I had like free dinner, free drinks for everybody.
If the Buffalo Bills played the Miami Dolphins every Sunday, they'd probably end up finishing 16-1 or 15-2 on the season. It's just sheer dominance. It's strange. You see this a lot with division rivals. Even the New York Giants are 8-2, their last 10 against the Washington Commanders. But this is pretty crazy right now. I mean, what Josh Allen does to this team and how the Buffalo Bills play against the Dolphins. It was a little bit frustrating, Scott, due to the total of the football game last night.
Right.
You know, the game sailing. It was actually the highest scoring first half for a game that stayed under the number in years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was no points. There were 7 points in the second half after the Tua injury. Miami, you know what I mean? It was like when you see in a movie, the soul comes out of the body. You know what I mean? It's like the soul comes out of the body and there's just the body left. That's the Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. And once Tua went down, you could see it, right? Even McDaniel, who I think his act is starting to wear thinner, even though it's early in the season right now. At some point, though, Miami, Scott, they're like a college football team. They can beat bad teams. They're not a tier 1 physical football team, right? They're just, you know, they have stars here and there and stuff, but I don't think they have any leadership. I wonder about their chemistry as well. I don't view the Dolphins as any sort of legitimate Super Bowl contender or anything like that. And now Tua is going to be out for a prolonged period of time and needs to consider his future.
I mean, they were a playoff team last year and lost at Arrowhead. I think I think that they had the capability, Gabe, of being a playoff team again. Winning a game is another story. They remind me of the Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are a lot better than the Dolphins. But I want to ask you about said Tua Tagovailoa and his multiple concussions now and head injuries. Now, I have heard all day today, nonstop. I've been up since very early in the morning, hearing how everyone and their brother thinks he should retire and that his career is over. And I said earlier on the show that he had a huge signing bonus, 30-some million, $100 million guaranteed the first 2 years of the deal. He's set for life, no matter what. He's got all the money in the world for him, his family, his grandchildren, his neighbors, the whole neighborhood. Do you think that his career is over? Because I think, 20 years down the road, this guy's going to have advanced dementia, CT, whatever you want to call it, Alzheimer's. He's going to have memory loss. He's going to have brain damage. I think he already has brain damage.
Nobody likes to voluntarily walk away from pro sports. It's such a great life, but he's already gotten paid, as you said. Listen, I don't think he's going to retire, Scott. I think he's going to be back again. But with that being stated, I think he's one hit away from retirement now. And the problem with Tua is he doesn't get hit that hard, Scott. Okay. And remember against the Buffalo Bills, Milano pushed him over, just routine. Right. Pushed the quarterback. He did like the cartwheel backflip, hits his head. He doesn't know how to get hit. I'm not blaming the victim here. But, whose ever fault it is, it doesn't matter. And I don't want to be cold, but from a football standpoint, can he stay on the field? No. Right? No. So at some point, you're going to have to, ask yourself, are quarterbacks one hit away from, potentially dying on the field? And, all right, you got Skylar Thompson. He's okay. But the future of the Miami Dolphins and the future of Tua, you have to seriously consider. Listen, Scott, you're there right now for the fight game. In boxing, you can get knocked out once. You can get knocked out twice. All right, you got knocked out a couple of times in your career. Scott, if you get knocked out 4 or 5 times in a 2-year span, you're going to have brain damage. At some point, your brain just cannot absorb. Think like a sponge, it growing back up. It won't. It'll shrivel. It won't grow back up. It'll shrivel if you keep on getting hit. So I think his family, I'm sure his family, Manti Te'o is good friends with him. And he came out this morning and said he needs to retire. He goes, I already told him to retire before, but he needs to just shut this down. It's getting dangerous now. Right. People that understand concussions understand how dangerous this is. You can see the glossy eyes. He was convulsing, and his arm went up. That Nowitzki guy, the former wrestler, Scott, he's a big concussion expert. He's all into this. Right. He talked about his arm going up in a position that it did. Like, he was out cold again, bro. There's only so many times you can do this to him before you're going to be talking slow, man, soon. You're going to be talking slow.
You know, a guy, you brought up the guys getting knocked out. Every time Wilder has fought in the last couple of years, he goes down like a tree. He gets knocked out. You remember the Asian guy knocked him out? I thought he killed him. I mean, he went over like a red sur oak. I mean, my man tipped over like 100-year-old tree in the forest. I got to tell you, like, I think you're absolutely right about everything. So let me ask you this. Do you think that, because I do, I think their season ended last night. Like, they're not winning anything with Skylar Thompson. I don't care what anybody thinks. They're finished.
Skylar Thompson's okay for a game. He's okay
Whatever. Whatever.
But yeah, it's not going to work in the long term. It just won't. And, you look at this division right now, big game for the New York Jets against the Tennessee Titans, which I think the Jets kind of get a benefit of the doubt.
I do too.
That they get the Titans and they get the Broncos next week, I believe. But big start for the Bills here, Scott. A lot of people were negative about the Bills this year. An impressive 2-0 start. They're off until next Monday night, and they host the Jacksonville Jaguars. No reason why they can't go 3-0. It'll be a tough game for them, but Josh Allen playing at an MVP level right now, Scotty, early in the season.
Yeah. Listen, that schedule of theirs over the next 3 or 4 or 5 weeks is brutal.
That's why I took them, Scott, in the Survivor in week 1. It wasn't some sort of, Bill Morency's a Bills fan homer pick. No. Look at the schedule, Scott. When's there a game on the Bills schedule where you're like, oh, yeah, it's a slam dunk. They're going to win that game for sure. They should beat Jacksonville. I think they can. I think they will. It's not a lock. After that, they play Baltimore. After that, they play Houston. You know what I mean? It just goes on and on. So from a Survivor perspective, I thought it was a good spot to step up with the Buffalo Bills last week. This week's tricky once again, but I don't see how the Chicago Bears beat the Houston Texans on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't either because, they got lucky. I mean, Will Levis coifed that game up. They're up 17-zip. He coifed it up, and I thought Caleb Williams, my daughter, throws the ball better than he did in that first game. I don't want to hear it. When I hear how you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and you're a franchise-changing quarterback and a rookie of the year and they're going to the Super Bowl, coach of the year in Eberflus, and you go out and lay a 90, I shoot better in golf drunk than a 90-yard performance as a quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says. That was an awful debut for him. He had nothing to do with that win whatsoever. It was defense and turnovers, and it was the Titans screwing up. Now, when we come back with Morency, I can't wait to talk to him because I went out, let's just say, drinking last night with your boy Brady Cannon. And the stories that I heard of this guy winning the football contest and all of his friends that have won the football contest. And I know Morency's won money at the football contest. These people are savages, including you.
Living large.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was thinking!
But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him rookie of the year, offensive player of the year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus coach of the year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be successful, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? I mean, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, App. So, Gabe, last night I was out with Brady, and, I met Brady years ago in Vegas at a party at JT the Brick's house. I don't remember what was going on, but there was a big party over there and tons of food and booze and people jumping in the pool naked, the whole deal. And there's Brady Cannon. I'm like, hey, it's good to meet you. So then when he came around SportsGrid, I was like, oh, I remember this guy. And so then last night, he reached out to me, and he goes, it's Brady, where you at? And so I had a college roommate named Brady, and I thought it was my college roommate. He goes, are you in Vegas? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, where are you at? He goes, I said, I'm at this bar. And he said, I'm with Cardano. I said, how do you know my boss? I thought it was my college roommate, but it was Brady Cannon. So then I said, come on over, I'll get you some drinks. And he came over, and I asked him, I said, I didn't know that you won the Superbook contest when I think it was the Hilton when he won it. And now it's the Westgate. And then he tells me all about winning. And then he tells me that this guy that he does this football contest show with on SportsGrid, that guy won the contest. And he won like close to $1 million. And then I know that you finished top 10 in it and won a bunch of money. And I'm like, what is happening here? How do I know all these people that are winning these contests? And you're in it again, Survivor and in the football contest at Circa. And then he's in both, and he does it for a living. How crazy is that we have these two guys and you three guys that are so entrenched in these great money-making football contests? I know you and I have talked about the Survivor contest already that you took the Bills, but how crazy is it that he won all that money and this other guy, Eddie, won all this money? It's crazy.
And if you think about it, too, he'll be playing these contests with their money for life, right? I mean, every time you win a couple of $100,000, every time, hell, I'm playing for life right now. Like every year when I'm like, oh, I got to enter the fee. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's their money. They gave it to you 5 years ago. They gave it to you 2 years ago. It's their money, so you give it back. It's almost like a free lottery for life once you get a piece of it, Scott. Incredibly difficult. And I'll be totally honest with you. I used to have a hard time, Scott, finding five games. I'd be like, man, I like 7 or 8 games. I like this, I like that. And as I get older, I have a hard time coming up with 5 that I actually like on Sunday. I like this Survivor deal. I got to come up with 1 game. Yeah, 5 is tough, man, to come up with, is there 5 stone cold locks? You can come up with 2, you come up with 3. As far as games I'm looking at this week, Scott, a lot of people in these contests kind of think the same. It's a lot of underdogs, Scott, right? I can tell you what the consensus picks are going to be in these contests all the time. Who are the biggest dogs? Right? That's generally the way it works. But, the NFL is getting harder and trickier, and the lines are getting sharper now in this modern era. So it's a tough league to bet on. These contests are a challenge, man. But Brady's one of the best in the business at it, without a doubt. He's got a great show, too, with Mike Pritchard going on. But I'm looking at the underdogs here as well, Scott. And, the Minnesota Vikings. I liked the Vikings last week on their home field, on the New York Giants' home field. I know the Giants don't really have a home field advantage. I expected the Vikings to pick them apart, and I like them against San Francisco. I think San Francisco are overpriced, and Minnesota are a little bit underpriced. Right. The referee of this game, too, is a home dog king. Brad Allen is the referee, and when he refs games, home dogs are 30 and 18, excuse me. against the spread. So I actually do like the Minnesota Vikings in this game. A game, Scott, I'm really high on. I tell you what, if someone told me you can bet on one game this week, I think I'd take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 7.5. Big fan of the Bucs this week at Detroit.
Let me go back to Mike Pritchard. So is he the guy that won the other one, that won the $1 million? I could have sworn he was telling me about some guy, Eddie, or something. Like, I can't keep track. Maybe I was drinking too much rum. But
No,
is Pritchard the guy? Is he the other one that wins it, or is it three guys that he was involved with winning these contests?
There's another guy, and then they got Mike Pritchard, former NFL wide receiver.
That's the guy. So Mike Pritchard's the guy that he does the show with, but the other guy is Fred Eddie's the other one that won the money.
The other guy, I think the other guy, Eddie, might have won twice, Scotty, actually. I think the guy might have won the Super Contest twice.
Listen. Do you remember back in the day, like when you and when I first started coming to Vegas, and I lived here, and I did Ferrall on, I'm knocking stuff over now, Mafia. Oh, and I got it picked up with my shoe. How impressive was that? A full drink tipped over, and I got it with my toe. I picked it right off the ground. Very strong. It's like throwing the water bottle and having it land straight. So anyway, when I first started doing Sports Entertainment Network in Vegas in '93, and I was doing like the Pioneer Club on Monday nights, I used to remember the football betting cards. Do you remember, like, you picked the games on the football card? It's gone from that to this. It really is.
It's insane.
Crazy. It's crazy what it's turned into.
Dude, when I lived in Vegas, I think I moved there, I think it was like 2010, 11, whatever. Yeah, it was then. It was when the Steelers beat the Packers in the Super Bowl. So around that era. I remember the first time I was in the Super Contest, Scott, there was like 475 people in it.
Yeah,
now the Circa, dude, it's like 14,000 people in the Survivor, 6,000 in the other one.
It's
and when
twice
it gets
as
to
big
that,
as the Superbook one. The Superbook one isn't as big as Derek gives
10
more
times.
money. He gives way
Yeah,
more
you know
money
what?
out.
You know, though, Scott, like the fictional stuff, 1,000 monkeys typing away can come up with a novel. That's what it is, bro. It's like a warehouse of 1 million monkeys typing on a typewriter. One of them is going to go 5-0 every week. If you get 14,000 of them, you know what I mean? Like,
Listen, I didn't know any authors that were monkeys. I'm learning something new every day out here. All right, Morency, I love you.
1,000
Have
monkeys
a great
typing
weekend.
1,000 words a day.
Enjoy football. Enjoy the fight. All right, Gabe. Thanks, buddy.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think, like, that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be successful, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? I mean, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire. only on SportsGrid.
So literally, back in the day, I was here long before Gabe. Like I was here in the 90s. I was here in the early 90s doing shows. I used to walk into Bally Sportsbook at night at 3 a.m. And I'd walk in at 2:45 in the morning to go live at 3, which was 6 East, and it was in 300 markets. And I'd walk into the sportsbook, and there would be 15 drunks passed out in seats in the sportsbook, completely sleeping with their mouths open and drool coming out, and like bottles of scotch next to them, and a burnt cigarette in their finger still burning. And I would do the show. And back then, they had betting slips. I literally every week I'd be sitting there doing the betting slips, and I'd pick all the games, and I'd try to win all this money. And then nowadays, I'm standing in line at the Circa signing up for the contest, and there's like 20,000 people doing it, and tons of monies and millions of dollars, and the Survivor got it. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Back in the day, like housewives would turn in their football cards. Those days are long gone, bro. Like I was down here doing shows at the Pioneer Club. They still have the Smoking Cowboy down there, but the bar's gone. People used to do literally. I would do my show on Monday Night Football. There would be people in the bar live smoking crack in the back of the bar. And I was live on the air going, what is happening here? This is awesome. I go, can I taste that? Excuse me. Anyway, it's always good to see Gino Bacola from Daily Racing Form on, and it's the greatest X following ever. It's me, Gino B. I love that. And then he's going to give us his favorite plays at Belmont, Woodbine, and Churchill Downs. And he always gives me an NFL play. And he always starts off by telling you where to shop at Daily Racing Form for all the skinny. Gino, good to see you, brother. I'm in Vegas.
And I should have come and said hi to you. I actually went for an overnight just during the week. My buddies had a bachelor party. I was only able to make it out there for Wednesday to Thursday, but we were down in downtown at the D. So I was chilling. Right. I should have stayed an extra few days, and I could have come and hung out live with you over there. But we'll make it better and give you some real winners. Make sure you head to shop.drf.com, and we got a promo code for all the SportsGrid viewers today, SGTF24. You'll get a free Timeform US past performance card. Let's talk about some of the plays for this weekend that we've got for you. We'll be bouncing all around. Let's start at Belmont. Belmont at the Big A. We have a horse that looks like Lone Speed in here. This is a filly that wants to get out front. She's going to be loose on the lead. There's no one else in here to push her, and I think she's going to go gate to wire in here. She's 8-1 on the morning line. That's Makanga over at Belmont at the Big A. It's opening weekend there today. So today's opening day. So they have some big races there this weekend after the little break after Saratoga. Let's go to Woodbine. We've got one more for you there. 8-1 on the morning line here as well. Race number 6. This is the number 7 Sabatini. They have a big card at Woodbine. Bunch of graded stakes races. Grade 1 Woodbine Mile up there on Saturday. This horse tried the turf last time out. Didn't like it. Didn't like the green. Now gets back to the synthetic. And that's just the surface that this horse prefers. So give Sabatini a big look.
All right, time out. I just wanted to say, are we on the air, Mafia? I've always wanted to make love to Gabriella Sabatini. Are we? Is that?
I thought you were going to talk about not wanting the green. I thought that's where you were going to go. I wasn't sure.
They're telling me the red phone is ringing. Even right now in New York, the red phone is ringing. The owner is livid at that comment. We're going to move back to horse racing immediately. Go ahead. Give me the Churchill Downs play.
Churchill Downs, race number 7. Peagull, this is a horse who started at lower levels, and every time they keep stepping this horse up, she just keeps passing the test, winning. What was most impressive last time, she's normally a speed horse, and she had a bad start, so she had to come from way out of it. She was caught in traffic behind horses. She moved all the way to the outside, and she came running late. So we'll bounce all around for you. And then one NFL play. We've got just a minute left for you, but we're going to go with the Saints this week. The Saints are playing the Cowboys, so we have two teams that beat the crap out of their opponents, right? In their opening game. Right. I think a lot of it had to do with their opponents more than themselves. In this situation, I think Watson has been so bad. He's been so miserable. I kind of take a little bit more about the Browns struggling, missing a couple linemen, not having Chubb. So I'm not quite as high on the Cowboys. I think for some of us, it comes to what did we think going into the season? I was a little higher on the Saints than most, a little lower on the Cowboys. Give me the Saints in there plus the 6.5. Go out there and have a couple toddies. Take a cheers for me. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do over there.
Speaking of Chubb, I just wanted to mention Gabriella Sabatini one more time. And Gino, I can't believe you left Vegas. You could have gone to the Canelo fight with me, you wussy.
Next time I'll be there.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Bears are going to the Super Bowl, Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play is there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
147 yards against the Jets and a touchdown? Man, the numbers are incredible.
It's the Shanahan connection, and that's just what it feels like. And, Jordan Mason came into that game with a career 5.6 yards per carry. He's always been a very tough runner. He's always been good when called upon in small doses. You mentioned the yardage, which was impressive, but 28 carries. That's what I'm looking at.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.